Have you all ever thought about what your legacy will be that you'll leave behind once you're gone? Have you thought about who and how people will remember you? Well, Jack London, famous author, surely did. If you're not familiar with Jack London, he was a famous author from the 1900s, and he wrote classics such as The Call of the Wild and The Sea Wolf. He lived a very adventurous life, and he transferred these adventures into the books that he wrote. But I'm not here to tell you guys about or analyze the books and the short stories that he wrote in his lifetime. But I'm here to tell you about the settlement and the house, the mansion that he built but never got to live in. Jack London bought a ranch in 1908 in Glen Ellen, California. If you're not familiar with Glen Ellen, it's about 50 miles north of San Francisco, near the town of Sonoma. As soon as he bought this ranch, he began transforming it into what would he later call Beauty Ranch. Stephen Harrigan quoted London in the 2012 article published by American History, stating, "I'm really going to throw down an anchor so big and heavy that all hell could never bring it up again." Jack London was definitely ready to settle down, and he was ready to do that on his ranch in Glen Ellen. In order to do this, Jack London bought all the essentials for building a farm. He bought horses, cows, chickens, a plow, and all the other farming essentials. As he began to plow his land, he realized that the people who had owned land before him had not taken care of it. They had used traditional farming tactics that included taking everything from the land and not giving anything back. And so this is when he decided that he wanted to change his legacy. He wanted to not only be known by the books that he wrote, but how he changed the land he lived on. Jack London used what we would call now sustainable agriculture. He used terracing, crop rotation, and natural fertilizer to rebuild the land that he bought. In this photo, you can see another tactic that he used for his livestock. You can see that this is a pig palace, as he called it, and each pig would have its own little apartment that it could sleep and live in and eat. And the people that he lived by, his neighbors, really thought that it was kind of a joke, this structure, because no one did anything like this in the time. But it was later awarded for its progressiveness. Aside from his livestock and crops, Jack London had a dream for how he wanted to live. He wanted to live in a mansion. And this mansion would be called Wolf House. This mansion would help him escape from society and embrace the natural culture that he had bought on his land. He also wanted to use this mansion to entertain people and always have the doors open for people to come in. In a 2014 article called A Burning Dream, it says that Jack London worked with architect Albert Farr. They built a 4-story mansion that cost about $80,000 in the time, which is about equivalent to $1.5 million today. As you can see in this photo, the floor plan of the house was very elaborate. This is only the second story of 4 levels, and there were a multitude of guest rooms and even a reflection pool in the middle of the house, and most importantly, the library, the biggest room in the house. Jack London used local materials when he was deciding what to build his mansion with. He used weathered redwood logs and volcanic rock, thinking that this would help prevent fires. He also used a concrete floating slab system to help with protect from earthquake damage. This was all for naught. A 2012 article by Norman Allen titled Jack London State Park quoted London saying, "My house will be standing, act of God permitting, for 1,000 years." Jack wanted his house to last longer than he did. He wanted that to be part of his legacy. But unfortunately, just like the unsinkable Titanic drifted to the bottom of the ocean, the thousand-year Wolf House burned to the ground. According to the biography on Jack London State Park website, On August 22nd, as construction cleanup began and the plans for the custom furniture to be put into the house were set into place, that night on August 22nd, the house caught on fire and burned to the ground. It took a total of 3 years to build, and within hours, it was burned to the ground, without one person ever sleeping a night inside. London was obsessed with his legacy. He wanted not only his books and his writings to be part of that, but he wanted his ranch to last far beyond he did. In 2011, Anne Trubeck wrote in a chapter of her book, A Skeptic's Guide to Writers' Houses, that the Wolf House was an attempt at immortality. Jack London wanted the house to live longer than he did, and wanted that to be him for 1,000 years. What I'd like you all to think about today is your legacy. Do you want to build it and have it come crashing down like Jack did? Or do you want to live your legacy and have it be built up from the ground?